Every successful practice has a moment no one brags about. It's a miss, a mistake, a setback. Fail Forward is a short series where dentists and practice owners share the failure that forced them to grow and the change that made everything better. This is where progress really begins.
So when I first opened my practice, my biggest failure wasn't anything clinical. It was all pretty much, a mental game at that point. I was kind of stuck in that scarcity mindset, especially around money and not wanting to spend too much, especially when income is kind of limited in those first few months. You see all that classic advice on the Facebook groups and other channels to do your own hygiene as long as you possibly can to keep your overhead low, keep your payroll lean, be careful how much money you're going to spend, grind harder, grind harder, grind harder, open on weekends and nights, the kind of that Gary V mindset. Just keep grinding and you'll eventually, win out. Hearing all that kind of messaging and seeing successful people doing that, it sounded like the right thing to do. Quietly though, it limited my growth and kind of burned me out. I spent so much time cleaning teeth. I say that, but I only did about 5 prophies before I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And ultimately hired a hygienist about a month in. I was kind of afraid to do that. It made me uncomfortable because of, the expense. But I ultimately was kind of delaying spending real money just because it felt like such a risk to me. But here's the actual failure. I was protecting my cash instead of protecting my capacity. What changed everything for me was realizing that my time as the doctor is the most expensive, the least replaceable resource in the practice. And I was spending it on tasks that really weren't worth my time, that someone else could probably do better than me, and at the same time, create more profit for me. So the first time I hired my hygienist, like I said, about a month in or so, it was earlier than I felt comfortable, but production not only increased, it jumped a very significant level. And every single time I've added a hygienist since then, same thing happens. A new level is achieved. It opens up so much production capacity when you do more exams and open the doctor's schedule for more limited exams and seeing more personal high dollar patients. Also, the same thing happened to me with, marketing dollars. When you're limited on funds in the beginning, you're kind of afraid to spend money, but it's that classic saying, spend money to make money. That's so true with marketing. Every time I intentionally increased my marketing budget, new patient numbers went up almost right away. If not right away, shortly after. The problem never really was spending money. The problem was waiting until I felt ready and confident to do so. So the mindset shift for me was pretty simple, but powerful. I stopped asking myself, how do I spend less money? And started asking myself, what investment can I create or make that produces leverage for me in order for me to increase my own personal capacity and ultimately produce more in the dental practice? So hygienists create leverage, marketing creates leverage. They buy back your time so you can actually lead, diagnose, and grow the practice. Honestly, your practice won't fail because you invested too early. It only fails when you stay small because you were too afraid to invest at all.
Before you move on, write down your own fail forward moment, the one that changed how you think, lead, or decide today. And if you're willing, share it inside our Facebook group, the Dental Marketer Society Facebook group. There's going to be a link in the show notes below. And your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear.